November 11, 2025, 20:30 hours local time, Caribbean Sea. Something unusual moves through the darkness, a formation so large it lights up every radar screen from Puerto Rico to Caracas. The USS Gerald R. forward carrier strike group, the most powerful naval force afloat, has entered the Caribbean. Deck lights off, radar emissions low. To outsiders, it looks routine. A counter, narcotics patrol under U.S. Southern Command. But everyone in the region knows better. This isn't about drugs. It's about dominance. This is America's largest naval deployment to Latin America since 1989. The forward, flanked by destroyers USS Thomas Hudner and USS Ramage with cruiser USS Normandy to the rear, pushes south of Puerto Rico into 4th Fleet zone of control. On deck, Air Wing 8 waits in silence. Super Hornets, Growlers, Seahawks, all armed, fueled, and watching. Across the region, airwaves erupt. News feeds show satellite images of the carrier moving through international waters. Caracas calls an act of intimidation. Within hours, Venezuela's president signs a mobilization order. Naval and air units go to high alert. Radar stations light up along La Guerra, Porto, Cabalú, and Paraguana. Fishing vessels are warned to stay clear of the area. Inside the Forge Combat Information Center, the mood stays calm but focused. Condition 3, normal readiness. Electronic warfare officers log new. Radar sweeps from the coast. Chinese built JL-10B signatures. Nothing new, nothing unexpected. What changes is the tone. Venezuelan Navy radio transmits a message with no names, no coordinates. Any foreign vessel approaching our sovereign limits will be intercepted. Everyone aboard the Ford knows exactly who it's for. By 2,100 hours, U.S. intercepts pick up coastal chatter. Fast boat crews standing by for launch. In the Combat Direction Center, a steady voice reminds the watchstanders. We're in international waters. Stay professional. Stay predictable. Outside, the Caribbean looks peaceful. Black water, no moon. 500 miles south in dark radar in Porto Cabello, a young operator leans closer. To his screen, a new contact appears. Too big, too slow, too deliberate. The first entry in a chain of mistakes. That's about to begin. What started as a warning will within hours become a direct challenge to the most powerful warship on Earth. November 12, 2025, 0142 hours local time. Venezuelan, northern coast. The radar operators in Puerto Cabello have been awake for hours. Coffee cups line the consoles. The air smells of dust and electronics. Then it happens. A new echo appears on the scope 90 nautical miles north of Laguna. The track looks big, steady, deliberate. To them, it's an American destroyer, probably a Burke-class ship running solo, attempting target for a warning. Intercept. Within 15 minutes, the order is signed. 6 fast patrol boats roll out from the docks, their diesel engines spinning. White smoke into the night air. Each carries a crew of 8 armed with 12.7 mm heavy machine guns and short-range rocket pods. They're light, fast, and unpredictable. The naval equivalent of street fighters under radio silence. They push north. 35 knots sometimes, touching 40. Hulls slamming through the swells. Navigation lights off. The lead. Boat's commander, a Coast Guard officer, promoted just last year, scans the radar. Repeater mounted beside him. One bright. Range decreasing course north by northwest. The problem, the information they're using is 30 minutes old. The destroyer they think they're closing in on isn't a lone ship at all. It's the Gerald R. Ford herself, surrounded by layers of defense. Up at 090 degrees relative, the carrier's radar horizon masks its escorts to a coastal system running outdated Chinese firmware. The reflections merge into one echo, one contact, one mistake. At 0210, the patrol boats cross the outer edge of Venezuelan territorial waters. The coastline disappears behind them. Now, only the compass, the engine noise, and the occasional flash of lightning on the horizon. The commander checks his scope again. Still one contact. Still closing. He radios a short-coded burst of base. Visual intercept expected within 30 minutes. In the combat directions center aboard the Ford, those same minutes tick down. Multiple surface returns now appear on their screens. Small, fast, and erratic. 6 dots racing toward them from the south. Their radars show one echo. In reality, they're about to meet a fleet. 0207 hours local time aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford. In the Combat Information Center, the air hums with quiet precision. Blue glow. From screens, voices low, clipped, professional. Then a call from the radar console. Breaks the comm. Surface contacts. Detected. Bearing 158. Range 36 nautical miles. Speed increasing. For fast-oving returns, then 6. Their radar signatures are small but erratic, the kind that makes a radar operator sit up a little bit straighter. The contacts are labeled automatically by the system. Skunk Alpha 1 through 6. The Ford is in Condition 3, Standard Patrol. Readiness. Within seconds, the watch. Officer calls Set Condition 1. The room shifts. More crew members arrive. Weapon stations are manned. The tension doesn't show on their faces, but you can feel it in the air. Electronic warfare picks up bursts of VHF static from the south, too irregular to decode. Likely low-power tactical radios. Launch both. Romeo's, the captain orders. 2 MH-60. Seahawks lift off within minutes. Rotors cutting through the dark. Their mission, visual ID of the incoming contacts. In the CIC, a calm female voice reached. Through the open channel. Unidentified. Surface vessels. This is a United States Navy warship operating in international waters. You are approaching restricted zone. Identify yourself and alter course. Immediately. No reply. Just a steady approach of 6 radar blips now within 20 miles. Cram and CWIS batteries switch to standby. Their cameras lock on. Every console hums with data. 0219 local time, Northern Caribbean. The first to spot them is the Seahawk crew. 6 small wakes cutting across the black surface. Tight formation. Bow waves. Glowing faint under moonlight. Visual on. Movers. Range 12 nautical miles bearing 185. Back aboard the Ford. The CIC confirms the contacts are approaching. Too fast for commercial traffic. 2. Coordinated for fishing boats. Weapons. Control marks them as probable military. Patrol craft. Then over open frequency. A burst of static and a male voice in accented English. Unidentified vessels. You are entering Bolivarian waters. Alter course immediately. The carrier. Group says absolutely nothing. Radio. Silence maintained. Formation holds. The 2 destroyers, Hudner and Ramage, slide into defensive positions flanking the Ford Lake bodyguards. The cruiser, Normandy, shifts aft, creating a 360 degrees coverage bubble. At 0221, one of the Venezuelan boats lights up its fire control radar. The signal spikes instantly on the EW board. Short-range band, high pulse rate. A. Locked. Not a test. Aimed straight at the USS Thomas Hudner. CIC were being painted. The EW officer reports. The captain's voice is calm. Track, but do not engage. The Seahawk hovering 5 miles. outconfirms what the radar already shows. The Venezuelan boat's targeting. Sensors active, aimed directly at the destroyer. In seconds, automatic defense. Systems react. CIWS turrets rotate toward the bearing. Infrared cameras. Zoom in. Target data streams across. Every screen in CIC. And then silence. No weapons fired. No alarms. Just 6 boats, weapons uncovered, holding. Position 8,000 yards off the forward's bow. The destroyer captain holds fire. The Venezuelans hold their pride. The sea is still. The weapons aren't. 0223 hours local time. Caribbean Sea, north of Lagra. For a few seconds, everything freezes. 6 Venezuelan patrol boats idling on. The black water facing an entire U.S. carrier strike group. The kind of moment where a single radio call could decide the next decade of foreign policy. Then one boat moves. Its engines flare. White. Speed jumps to 40-45 knots. The bow lifts, wakes exploding behind it. It's not turning away. It's charging. Contact Alpha 3. Accelerating bearing. 185. Closing fast. Every voice inside. The forward CIC sharpens but stays calm. On the bridge of the Thomas Hudner, the officer of the deck watches the range. Counter spin down. 3 nautical miles. 2 nautical miles, 1.5. Green signal flares streak skyward from the destroyer, the international command. To turn away. No response. Target ignoring signals. Range 1,000 yards. CIWS mounts lock in. Every sailor knows what that means. One more wrong. Move, an entire sky will light up. On the Venezuelan boat, the commander shouts over the roar of engines. He can see the destroyer silhouette now. A black wall of steel. His radar shows. Returns. He doesn't understand. Multiple. Ping stacked. Distorted by jamming. The data is garbage, but it's too late to check. Distance 900 yards. A voice reports. In the CIC. 800. Then just as suddenly, the engines throttle back. The boat's bow drops. It cuts hard to port. Spray flying across. The deck. In seconds, the formation collapses. One turns, then another. The rest follow, following back towards Venezuelan waters in erratic overlapping. Wakes. No missiles fired, no shots exchanged, but the radar plots tell the whole story. A confrontation that came within seconds of turning catastrophic. In the Combat Direction Center, the captain exhales once quietly. Maintain course and speed. Don't pursue. On screen, the last of the fast modes fades. South into the static. 1 second, 2. Early. War. 1 second later. Humiliation. Tonight, silence 1. 11:40 a.m. local time, Caribbean Sea. By sunrise, the Gerald R. forward strike group is already 60 miles north of the encounter point, maintaining steady. Course and speed, 20 knots heading. Northwest. On the bridge, the morning watch rotates. For most of the crew, it's just another day at sea. But outside the ship, the story is already spiraling. In Caracas, state television interrupts. Regular programming, low-resolution video from a patrol boat camera is showing faint silhouettes of warships against the horizon. Edited, cropped, captioned, U.S. fleet retreats. Within minutes, the footage spreads across regional networks and social media. At the Pentagon, the response is measured. A press release includes satellite imagery, AIS data, and GPS. Timestamps showing the forward group more than 80 nautical miles from Venezuelan waters. The message is clear. The U.S. Navy did not cross any territorial line, but perception is everything. Diplomats from both nations begin discreet communications through Swiss channels to avoid public escalation. The 4th Fleet Command in Mayport quietly raises its regional readiness level while the State Department urges restraint on all sides. Meanwhile, on the forward, sailors go back to routine. Flight ops, maintenance, watch rotations. The encounter was logged as an incident of interest. No shots fired, no official complaints. Just another quiet entry and a long list of near misses. It seemed, still, no one on board mistakes quiet for peace. Inside the CIC, one officer notes a Venezuelan radar sweep pinging. The carrier again, distant probing. But there, officially the mission continues. Unofficially, everyone knows it's changed. The Caribbean looks calm, but below the surface, tensions run deep. It's maritime politics. Silence is rarely peace. It's just a pause before the next decision. From a distance, it looks like nothing happened. No missiles were launched. There were no casualties. And there are no screaming headlines. Crisis. But inside the Pentagon, this encounter was dissected frame by frame. Because what happened off the coast of Venezuela wasn't luck. It was pure discipline. For Venezuela, the mistakes began long before the first engines even started. Their coastal radar systems built around outdated Chinese JL-10B units were never designed for complex maritime environments. They mistook radar reflections from multiple ships as a single large contact, a basic but critical error. Acting on that misread data, they sent small, lightly armed patrol boats towards what they thought was a lone destroyer. In reality, they were charging an entire carrier. Strike group, one with enough layered defense to wipe out any surface threat within minutes. The forward crew, by contrast, followed protocol down to the letter. Detection, verification, visual confirmation, no assumptions, no improvisation. When fire control radar from one of the Venezuelan boats locked onto the Hudner, every defensive system came online within seconds. Seemed SEZ the whole lot, but the captain never flinched. He kept the weapons tight. No one fires unless fired upon. That restraint matters more than any missile system on the ship, because in naval operations, control is everything. Every sailor in that combat information center knew that one wrong decision could start a war one their adversary couldn't possibly survive. By holding fire, the forward group sent a louder message than any missile ever could. They showed what real power looks like. Confidence under pressure. In the age of satellites and global tracking, truth doesn't stay hidden for very long. Every radar pulse, every AIS signal